Good morning, everybody. This is an instructional video on how you can create for yourself a very quick study guide. Suppose you are in reading class, or maybe you're in a class in general, and your teacher hands you a vocabulary list that you know you're going to have to do exercises on, that you're going to have to use in your writing, or you have to do some studying and have a test in it. This will be kind of common in high school, for example. So what can you do to kind of tackle this big job of new words that you have to know, and how can you kind of translate it into something easier to understand and that is usable? Now, what you see in front of yourself is what we teachers call grade level vocabulary. It's 7th grade vocabulary. This is what is expected in terms of what is learned, and you should know these words. And of course, they might be really daunting to you. That means hard, okay? I mean, because they're unfamiliar or they're new. But you know what? There's also a possibility you do know some words. And because there are other things you'd rather do than do vocabulary work, you want to start this job by figuring out what you really need to put your effort into and what you don't have to. So here we are at a list. It starts you would be lucky if you got a list like this, in that the vocabulary words are in a different color. The examples of the words used is in italics, and the definition is either after citing its part of speech, or maybe there's just some different forms of the word, like just a general definition. So you get these words. There's 15 of these, and I'm going to expect you to work on them, okay, and learn them quickly, right? Right. And so you don't want to spend all your time doing that. So you can create a study guide, a quick study guide. In our case, it is digital so that I can make it faster for you. And it is essentially a 3 columns. So you could actually do this on a piece of paper. You fold it into 3 parts, kind of like making a burrito. And in the first column, you put the word. In the second column, you explain it. And then in the third column, you rate how much you need to do work with it. Okay? Now, the thing is, when you have these definitions here, you have the new word and you have the definition, you are not helping yourself if you just write the word here and then you copy the definition into the explanation next to it. If you just copy the explanation, that's all you're doing. You're not actually reading the definition. You're not actually thinking about the definition. And so it's no good. What you really have to do is think about how could you describe what the word means to you. By putting it into your own words, you're more likely to express how much you understand it and get the most out of it. So for example, well, here I have an example of industrious. Industrious, in my words, are characterized by hard work and perseverance. I've kind of heard that word before. So when I rate it, there are 3 qualifications. If this word is totally new to you, you would check the study column so that when it comes time for the test, you would make sure you saw this mark and you would study it. Now, if you're like me and you've heard of the word before, you would check the box review, in which case you would, you might read over the definition a few times, but you wouldn't worry about it. You just kind of remind yourself about it. Now, here's the interesting thing. Let's say you know this vocabulary word. Let's say you use the word industrious all the time. My friends are industrious. My mom is industrious. My neighbors are industrious. Well, then you know it. Put an X there, and when you see that, when it comes time to prepare for the quiz, you're not even going to bother making a flashcard with it. You're not going to bother asking a friend to test you on it. You know the word. Why waste time on it, right? So what you're doing is you're kind of taking your word. So let me go to this word. The first word is acquire. It means to gain ownership of something, to get by one's own efforts or actions. Okay, so I'm going to click here and I'm going to put acquire. Okay, as you can, okay. And what that really means is to get something. To get something. All right. So I know what that word means. I understood the definition pretty clear. To gain ownership of something, to get by one's own efforts or actions. Okay, to get something. All right. You know what? I know it. So by putting an X there, when it comes time for a test, I do not have to study for it. And the fact that I put it in my own words and I checked it to make sure it makes sense, why, I've gotten more value out of doing this exercise than just copying. And I confirm that I really do know it. All right. If you have a hard time putting the definition of the word, what it means in your own words, and it's really hard, there should be no way you have an X in the know it. If you have to look, if the only way you can get a definition from here to here is by copying it, you probably should put an X in the study box, because that means you don't know it and you don't even know enough about it to put it in your own words. Be honest with yourself, because the more honest you are with how well you know a word, the more likely you're going to study it and get an A on that test. Okay, so that's how you create a quick and easy study guide. Take care.